Hi, this is Dan from Magic Pachinko Restorations, and I'm going to do a short video here trying to give you an idea of what your vintage pachinko machine is worth. There's certainly been a lot of discussion amongst my friends about what machines are worth. Just to give you a little bit of a background, I've restored 113 machines. I've probably purchased 120 machines, so I've got a fair amount of experience purchasing machines and know what I've paid for them over the years. Vintage pachinko machines are what we're talking about in this particular video. Those are the ones that are late 60s, 68, 69, through the very early 80s, 81, 82. They are the ones that have the manual launchers. There's the real early ones might be single shots, but most of the pachinko machines will have a launcher like this that's a manual launcher rather than the newer ones that had the motors that would launch the ball. So this is the type of pachinko machine that I'm talking about and discussing its worth. Keep in mind that during that time period, these were being, and they still are, being mass produced in Japan. Pachinko in Japan is the thing to do. There are over 12,000 pachinko parlors in Japan today. And every parlor has probably got hundreds of machines. So these things are just mass produced by the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. So in reality, I'll speak to this in a minute, but there are no rare pachinko machines. They just made too many of them to be rare by any stretch of the imagination. Most pachinko machines that I have come across in my 6-7 years of being in this restoration business are found in people's attics, people's basements, in barns. They've been stored away for years. They were purchased in the early 70s when they first started to import these into the States, and families would play with them for a while in the heyday of the mid-70s, and then most pachinko machines were tucked away and forgotten about. Now, fortunately for folks like myself, there is a renewed interest. A lot of my customers will tell me that they had one when they were much younger. They've refound the machine, so to speak, and they want to get it back in working order. But anybody that does not have an emotional attachment to a machine and just simply has a pachinko machine that's 30, 40, even sometimes 50 years old, they've been just sitting around, gathering dust, getting grimy, getting dirty, getting rusty, and they are typically in really rough shape when I buy them. So I want to show you this one. This is a machine that I just recently got. I paid $30 for this machine. If you look here, you can see that this corner, unfortunately this machine must have tipped and broke this corner. Now it doesn't affect the play of the machine. It's not really too bad looking if I can get a replacement tray. This tray is probably about $30 or so if I can find a replacement for it. The parts are getting harder and harder to find as time goes on, but it's a $30 part for sure to replace. But if you look at the chrome up close, it doesn't have much shine to it. It's kind of dull. It's very grimy. The entire front of the machine is just covered in a film of grime. It's accumulation of dirt and cigarette smoke and so on and so forth, and they're just really dirty. Now this one is cleaner than some, but they just spray these ashtrays with silver paint. Most of the time they don't even clean them. They just spray them so they're crummy on the inside. This chrome is not pitted and rusted real bad, so it will clean up, but quite often the chrome is in really rough shape. Internally, on pachinko machines, the thing you need to deal with is this is the this is the ball handling mechanism. This will get full of dirt and grime and hair and foreign objects and all sorts of things you don't even want to talk about. There's an internal part to this also, where the balls run through it. Again, it gets full of dirt and grime and all sorts of stuff. So that's one of the reasons why pachinko machines typically don't work. When you do look at them, or pull them out of storage after years and years and years, because they're just so full of grime and dirt and hair and so on. I don't know if you can tell on this. This piece of plexiglass is really in rough shape, bad shape. It will have to be replaced. Now this particular play field is water damaged. It's not as bad as some that I've seen, but if you see the darkness up in here, there's darkness along where all the nails are. There's dark spots behind them. Some of this will show on the video, some of it won't. There's a lot of darkness up here you should be able to see. That is water damage. Moisture seeps in behind this paper and stains the paper and the wood behind it, and it's permanent. It does not come clean off. You can clean the dirt and the grime off of the pieces, but you cannot get rid of the darkness. So again, that's just something that a 40-year-old machine, it's part of what makes that machine look bad, is the fact that the play field is water stained. These colors are quite faded. So if you compare it to one that's been restored, you see the obvious difference. So if we take a look at this from the side, this wood is rough cut. The metal tends to be rusty. You can see the darkness here. That's water staining. That's rust. I don't know if you can tell, if we can get the camera close enough, but the dirt and the grime that's in this tray is just horrendous. Same with up in here. It's just loaded with dirt. Probably this machine probably hasn't been cleaned in 30 years. And quite often I'll get machines that weren't cleaned real well when they came out of the parlors, and as I'm taking them apart, I can still smell the cigarette smoke, to the point where this plastic is clear, although it probably doesn't look too bad on the video. When it's clean, it's as clear as glass. You can see the dirt residue on it, and when you take this off and spray it with I use Awesome, you spray it with a cleaner, it just, the grime and goo that's in these things is horrendous. You can see the dirt here, accumulation, and so on and so forth. There are many pivot points on pachinko machines, and they all tend to tarnish and rust. So the point being is that it takes a lot of work to get this machine back up and running the way that it was intended to 40 or 45 years ago. And on top of that, these, again, were mass produced by the hundreds of thousands. Now this particular machine has all its parts. I looked at a machine the other day, and this part were both missing. Now what happened to them, I don't know. My guess is the machine tipped and this just broke, and somebody just yanked the parts off and threw them away. But in that case, it's a $20 pachinko machine, and the only reason that I would even consider buying it would simply be because I could use the other parts, just to have spare parts. So between $20 and $50 is really all your pachinko machine is worth, in a condition like this. Now, as they get cleaned up and taken care of, the value goes up, mainly because now they're becoming a lot more functional, a lot cleaner. This is the wire harness. I took it off and redid it, cleaned all the contacts, resoldered all of the connections, put some new wire in, some new bulbs, and so on and so forth. So again, there's expense involved before you can start to sell these things and get them 100% functional. So when I see ads on eBay that will claim this is a rare pachinko, I kind of chuckle, because there really is no such thing as a rare pachinko machine. There are a handful of Nisogen machines that were made in the mid to late 70s that are called special electrics, and they have the addition of electrical components way above and beyond a simple circuit like this of just a couple of light bulbs. Those are collectible by pachinko collectors, and even one of those in rough shape is going to be worth a lot more than something like this, which again, mass produced by the hundreds of thousands. Those machines, when they're clean and working properly, can fetch big money, but it's I don't want to say rare, but it's unusual to find one of those machines that not only works properly, but is then in restored condition. Those machines can be worth thousands of dollars, but quite often the electrics don't work, and they're not worth much more. If the electrics don't work, they're not worth much more than these guys are. But I guess it even gets to the point where it irritates me that people on eBay don't know what they're talking about when they try to sell a pachinko machine and just make up. I swear they make stuff up. You know, rare. I've never seen one like it before. That therefore it must be rare. It's got to be worth $300. And I look at them and it's filthy, dirty, rusty, and I'm thinking, what are these people thinking? They don't sell for that for sure. If you look at pachinko machines on eBay, they can ask whatever they want to for them. That doesn't mean they're selling for that amount of money. What you need to do is filter your search by actually the ones that sell and see what the ones that sell are going for, and then compare the condition that they're in for the money that they're asking. Also, another thing on shipping, I can ship a pachinko machine through my FedEx coast to coast for about $110. A pachinko machine fully packed properly weighs between 40 and 45 pounds. So I get them from Chicago to where I am in New York quite regularly, and it's about $50 to ship a pachinko. So that's halfway across the country. Again, I can ship one coast to coast for 100, 110. So if you see people who are asking any more than $110, they're shipping them, either shipping them incorrectly to the point where the weight is wrong, something's wrong with the ad, or they're simply padding and trying to make money on shipping. So stay away from anybody that's trying to get a couple $100 to ship a pachinko machine. It just simply doesn't cost that much. So I would certainly welcome comments on this. These are my own opinions, although I've talked to a lot of people that are in the business, and we all kind of feel the same. But my opinion, and I would certainly appreciate any comments if anybody thinks I'm wrong, or if people agree with me, or whatever. I get people ask if I want to buy their pachinko machine. I would love to be able to buy your pachinko machine, but if I only want to pay $30, $40, $50 for it, and you live 3/4 of the way across the country and it costs $75 to ship it, then it just doesn't make it worth. If I asked you to pay the shipping, you simply wouldn't. And by the time I pay the shipping and what you want for the machine, it gets to the point where they're simply too expensive for what I want to buy them for. So again, questions, comments, please jump right in, and I'll be glad to respond to anything. Thanks a lot.